Welcome to Exercises for Brains. Now, a lot of this stuff, we've gone over exercises for knees, for, she's okay, probably, for knees. But when we look at brains, the brain has to function. It's got two halves and know how muscles work. So when we go over the 5 keys to health, we're going to talk about movement. And when you're looking at any type of movement, you've got to look at symmetrical movement of the brain. So if you know people that are walking, okay, with one cane, what that does, it literally changes the structure of the brain. And it's hugely important. So we recommend, these are not the walking poles, but they happen to be 2 bamboo sticks outside. And just think of this. So if you know someone that's walking with a cane, they're moving the cane one side and they're walking with another. What we'd recommend, and this is for both halves of the brain, is to walk with walking sticks. And they can be hunks of bamboo, but they actually have professional walking sticks that you can get. So this way you're moving your arms symmetrically. So this is much preferred. If a walker would be like the last thing, but if they can start using walking sticks, particularly if they're having a balance issue, this is going to help with balance issues. And realize if you're walking 10 minutes, you're taking about 1,000 paces. So if you have, say, half a kilo weight and you're walking 1,000 paces, moving that's about 500 kilos per arm that you're moving. So you're going to get better workout too. So walk with walking sticks if you're using some type of cane or things. Now, when you look at muscles have little actin and myosin filaments. When it's stretched like this, the actin and myosin filaments are stretched like this. It's not really strong. When you shorten that muscle, the actin and myosin filaments get closer, so you're a lot stronger. Now, in no part of the world do you go pick up a bag of groceries like this. Okay, that's crazy. So why do we work out at the gym that way? It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to pick up a bag of groceries, a bag of anything, a box or a suitcase, you shorten the muscles to get those muscles in tight. You move over, you bend down, and so then you can pick up a great weight. Does that make sense? So now we're going to look at symmetrical, eccentric, and concentric contractions. A concentric means the muscle is contracting and it's under a weight. Eccentric means that the muscle is lengthening under a force load. And you actually build more muscle when that muscle is lengthening than you do when it's contracting. So lengthening under a force load is huge. But now let's get the brain working. So obviously, if you're going to lift weights and you're going like this, you're going to get some benefit. But you're moving your body to help that centrifugal force come up, and you're not getting the results. So what if you move your arm to only 90 degrees? Not down here, because that's not how the body works. If you're moving your arm down here and putting it under force load, the joint is so far apart, the muscle fibers are so far apart, you can damage the muscle and damage the joints. So from now on, even if you're going to bench press, you don't want to bench press here where your chest is tight. You want to do it to where all the muscles are contracted, here to here. So when we're doing curls, up and then, let's do it for the brain, cross in the air, just like this. And what I want you to do, and this is a good practice, you'll see if there is a problem with the brain. You're going to see one side not moving as high as the other. So force them into both sides. Okay, so both are moving equally. Does that make sense? Okay, now all of this is for the brain. So symmetrical. So they're moving in the air. They're going to the same height, same distance. Fantastic. Now walking is going to change the brain. So when you're walking, if you've been walking with a limp, and we've got everybody that we're rehabbing the knees, regenerating the knees or hips, we teach them to walk with a high stepping gait. Because when you're rehabbing the knee joints, when you're rehabbing the hip joints, your body has been walking crooked like there's some kind of damage for years. So we have to change how the brain fires. So initially, when they're first getting their knees to work right, we have them stand on one side, then stand on the other side, then stand on one side, then stand on the other side. So this way, the brain, because we are regenerating the knee cartilage, the brain can now understand that that side can hold weight. Now, what's odd is about 30 years ago, I was hit by a car, fracturing both my knees. And even to this day, even though my knees are fine, they work great, I walk, there's no problem. When I'm fatigued, I still walk with a limp. And then it's like, oh man, I'm walking with a limp again. So then I'll high step to move both sides equally. So if you've had an ankle injury, if you've had a hip injury or a knee injury, and we're doing those exercises to regenerate it, get used to standing on one side and standing on the other side. If you're on a vibration plate, this is advanced. Simple would be just shifting your weight. Advanced is standing on one leg and standing on the other. And what you'll see, if there is damage to the joint, you'll see people go, and that way we know that that's not symmetrical. That's not going to work right. So symmetrical movement, eccentric and concentric. Now we're going to kick it up a notch. So knowing that every adjustment works through the brain. And if you have the largest joint in the body, which is the knee joint, working correctly, then if we can open that joint up, we have a huge number of joint mechanoreceptors. So I'm putting my toes in these, and I'm going to be swinging it back and forth. Now, this is not really, I have to lift my legs up a little bit higher. They're about 12 kilos or that are on my toes. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. So normally you're going to be dangling them back, moving these, but also breathing. So it's going to be. Now, this is fairly hard to do. Okay, it'd be better if I was taller. Actually, it'd be better if my legs were shorter or I had a taller seat. But you can imagine by dangling the weight, okay, it's opening up the knee joint, sending a massive information to my brain. This is why in between each adjustment, we put ankle weights on and have you tap a box so they can get more sensory input to the brain, because all the adjustments are changing the brain. We put ankle weights on to open up the knee joint to get more sensory input. So this is the exercise that we do for Parkinson's, for MS, for brain damage, for anxiety, for stress, depression. All of these things are features of the frontal lobe. Anxiety, stress, depression, schizophrenia, everything. So if we can get both halves of the brain to fire, so it's going to be. Okay, again, I should be going like this, but I have to lean back to get my legs up higher because the seat's too short. Okay, does that make sense? So symmetrical, breathing in and out, and not straight on. And all of this is designed to change the brain. And when you look at this, that brain creates its own food called cerebral spinal fluid. If that you have a normal curve, if you have a normal curve and position, the fluid that brain produces can drain. If you don't have a normal configuration, like a loss of curve or reverse curve or damage or trauma or old fractures, that cerebral spinal fluid can't drain and pressure builds up. I mean, everybody with a loss of curve in the neck, I'll check the head, the top of the head, and it'll be hot, tender, inflamed. And just within a few, days of getting the neck curve back, the pressure up here is lessened. And that's beautiful. So make sure, in order to do the exercises, when you're doing every exercise, you do not want your chin down. You want your chin up. And try and do the breathing every time. So it's and it's got to be symmetrical. If you see something not symmetrical, you're not getting good stimulation. Symmetrical movement, then you get good brain stimulus. Does that make sense? Okay, now, any questions? Because movement is the key. Symmetrical movement is even better. And this is why we recommend walking barefoot in the grass or hard sand, okay? And that gets with symmetrical movements. So if you have someone with Alzheimer's, dementia, kid with autism, brain damage, you'll see kids, toe walking. That's also an indicating that there's brain damage. Get them to do these exercises. Get them to walk barefoot. Get them in a different environment, and they can recover. Yes.
And there you keep the leg and the arm. Your breathing have to be your same time.
Oh, okay. When you're doing this exercises, do the legs and the arms and the breathing have to be the same time? No. But if you can swing the legs symmetrically, if you can move the arms symmetrically, and if you can do the breathing symmetrically, whoa, that is super hard to do. So when I'm demonstrating on a chair that's a bit taller, okay, I've done this for years. So this is a great exercise for balance, for movement, for everything. So if you're just starting, know that it may take a while to get good at it. So don't worry about left arm goes forward with the left leg. Just get the legs to swing symmetrically, get the arms to swing symmetrically, and breathe in and breathe out. I find it easier to time the breathing with my arm motion. So that way you're not going like this because you'd be breathing like a rabbit. Okay, more deliberate, slower movements, okay, are going to be better for the brain function than going like this, because you can't tell if I'm doing symmetrical or not. I'm purposely moving my right arm more than my left. Okay, so symmetrical movement where they're coming up to the same is way better for the brain. And then if you know that brain burns oxygen like your car burns gas, it burns 90% of the body's oxygen. That's why breathing is so important.
When I do the leg sweep, I find that my legs appear to be dangling on the equal.
Yeah. When you're doing the leg swinging, you find that the legs are dangling on their own almost. Yep, that's why this is a super advanced exercise. Start off with ankle weights and leg swinging. Then you can add breathing, you can add movement, but just know that it may take months to get the leg swinging down. That's why we tap a box. And if you hear your feet hitting the box fairly even, great. If you hear this, you're not swinging it even. And that's why we generally have someone in the back moving your legs, because even if you can't move the legs, consciously, symmetrically, you still get a lot of the benefit if somebody else is moving the legs for you. Then eventually you get good better. Like if you're working with someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, you may have to move their legs and just, you bribe. If you're working with someone with brain damage and dementia, bribe them, do whatever you can. Say, Mom, I'm going to take you for ice cream after. Or my mom, I'll take you for a margarita after. Anything to get them to do the job. Okay, any other questions? Somebody crap. That was amazing.